Welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dowston, and it is wonderful that you are here with me for our weekly I Ching overview for the week commencing the 17th of June. Yes, we are past the halfway mark in the month. Can you believe it? So as usual, let's first have a little recap to last week. What were we working through? Doing that little recap, very powerful in connecting to the flows that were working through us. Sometimes we are in our week and we don't have a time to reflect and pull back and think about what's going on. And then we look back and the next weekly we go, oh my word, okay. Yes, I could see that energy working through my life. Okay, so last week we had Hexagram 26, the taming power of the great, the focus, all this power. Okay, and the way that we become the Kung Fu master is to focus all our energy and be like a laser beam of focus, drawing all those parts of us through this focus point to get something important done. And we had some interesting changing lines, the one being the wagon being broken down or needing to be decommissioned or needing to take your trip or your journey that you're on and halt it for a bit, look after the precious cargo. And we also had this great project that we were working on that's really important for us to focus on and put our energy and overcome the urge to be wild. So last week, it was really interesting working with these changing lines because I literally had a wagon issue because we had our main vehicle that was tied into a whole lot of important client projects had to go in to be repaired for an unforeseen breakdown. And I thought, oh, I can't wait to tell you. I literally had a wagon issue where it came to a standstill. We had to volunteer to take her in and book her in to be repaired. Okay, so that was my experience of working with this energy. I just thought to myself, this is actually just ridiculous. Of course, it's an actual wagon. So you might find that you had something very literal from last week that you were working with and something symbolic, metaphorical, and nothing at all. That's also okay. But that's my wagon story. I just thought, okay, all right. And that's what the point of this process is, that when things come up and they reflect back at us, we've got tools, right? We've got ways that we can then not get caught up in the drama of the moment. Say, okay, all right, this is a literal wagon issue, okay? How do I deal with this? How do I work with this flow? What is the best principle in this moment? And if you had a symbolic or metaphorical wagon come in, all right, to come and create some trouble, what does that mean? Same thing with being that wild ram going into the hedge, okay? We have to actually focus our energy, thoughts and our attention around the important enterprise, the great project that's ahead of us, and to focus all our energy on that. And then the second hexagram from last week was family, hexagram 37, understanding how important it is to have a family, a team, a work family, a home family, where everyone understands their roles and they work together and everyone is cohesive in the hearth and the home, bringing everyone together. We had a lovely big family lunch this week, and that was a wonderful opportunity to celebrate family. It doesn't happen very often, so right there where we had hexagram 37, the family, isn't that interesting? So for you as well, what came up for you? It's your family, your work family, your tribe, the people that you spend a lot of time with that are meaningful to you, the family hearth, what sits at the center of your life. So if anything came up from last week's hexagrams and changing lines, please do share a comment. We always love to hear from you. Right, so this week, the 17th of June, where are we going? What is the focus that is coming to help us? There's some tough ones this week. Oh, okay, we can do it. We're going to go through it together. We can deal with these things, right? Okay, so let me not delay. Hexagram 39, obstruction, is our first main hexagram for this week. So that sets the scene. All right. This hexagram, setting the scene for the week, giving us some feedback as to what are some of the flows we're going to have to navigate through this week. Okay, what is a shared flow we all have in common this week? We are facing some obstructions. These are like boulders in the road that put a stop to your journey, slow you down. And I've told the story before because we've had this one many times before. You're hiking along and on the mountain path, and there's this big boulder that's kind of rolled down and is crossing the path. and no amount of bashing against this thing is going to move it. Okay, that is not a strategy that is going to win here. So with this week, when we think about this hexagram, we look for examples of where we feel frustrated, where we feel blocked, cut off, isolated, injured, all right? For you, this might be an injury, like, hurting your ankle, for example, and then you're not able to go and do the things you need to do, or you need to rely or wait on other people, or whatever it might be, even if it's a sprain or strain on that ankle. So that's an example of where we might feel hindered and obstructed. It doesn't necessarily mean that this boulder is this giant thing that's life-threatening. Okay, we don't have to take it to the extremes. But what we look for is things that come across our life path in this week where there is an obstacle. The obstacle might not be something that is new in the week, okay? A new obstacle. That might indeed be something that comes up, a new injury, right? That pops up and it's now part of the story. It might be an existing obstacle, and what this hexagram gives us the opportunity to do is to understand this obstacle and to work with it in a new way. Okay, so it might be a long-standing issue, all right, that you now have an opportunity with this energy to rework and rethink about. Okay, don't think it's just about new event landing in the week. It's just about what does it bring up? What does it reflect back up? That allows us to see things differently. And the moment we see it differently, from a different flow, all right, different point of view, and we look at what is the principle at work here, what are we needing to learn, where are we needing to grow up here, suddenly it changes. Suddenly it becomes a much better, easier thing to manage because we are seeing it from a different perspective. And usually the moment we do that, like the energy around it just, immediately shifts. So we look for where we're frustrated, where we feel stuck, stopped, injured, okay, where we feel halted and unable to move forward at the pace and the energy with the vitality that you would like. And perhaps it's not an ankle, okay, but maybe it's come down with a flu or something. It's something that's stopping you in your tracks, right? Is halting your journey or significantly slowing down a particular thing you are wanting to work with right now. We handle it by getting creative and finding ways around the obstacle by reaching out for helpers. Okay, we don't try and bash against this big rock in the road or on the path in front of us. We find ways around it, okay, because this is an immovable thing. We find alternate ways of looking at the situation to find other ways through. Not blind force, no. So wherever you feel frustrated that something is not moving, the more you put muscle power into trying to shift this thing to force it forward, the harder it's going to be to recoup your energy, because you can imagine you're like using up all your life force trying to push this boulder. That will win. It will. All right, so working with this week, right, we accept the injury. We can make progress by accepting the injury and moving forward. It doesn't mean that everything comes to a stop when you work this hexagram, but we have to accept that we are impeded and we are limping, right? We have a crutch. We are not at full throttle. And so what that means is we need to ask for help. Oh, ask for help. Terrible. Okay. We have to reach out and look at where do we have people around us who have expertise, guidance, resources, time, whatever it might be, and ask for help. That is our way of dealing with Hexagram 39. Creative new solutions and getting the helpers involved to work through this problem. Okay, finding new ways around it. So 2 changing lines this week in the first and the third position. And in my mind, these 2 changing lines are saying almost the same thing. Okay, so changing line position 1, okay, this line talks about feeling cut off and frustrated. The way we deal with it is we resist the temptation to push forward regardless. Okay, we all have that kind of thing. Well, let me just get somewhere. Let me just do something. Let me just kind of just start pushing through this thing, okay, using that brute force. No, resist the temptation to push forward. And wait. Okay, what are you waiting for? You are waiting for new thoughts on the situation to come to you. Okay, so what we work with in this changing line position 1 is that where we feel cut off and frustrated, and we all know immediately when we want to go and I'm held back. Okay, wherever you have that feeling this week, go in there, all right? What am I trying to push forward? What actions would show me I'm trying to push regardless? And wait for new thoughts on this situation before you take action. Okay, so we are waiting and we're holding back because new thoughts come to liberate us. Okay, that's what this changing line is trying to bring us. A strategy of how we deal with feeling cut off and frustrated. Now, you might find changing line 1 and changing line 3 are the same issue or 2 totally different issues. Okay, normally they work in a timing sequence, the first one and then the third one will kick in. But use your week as an experiment. Use your life as an experiment. What happens for you? What emerges for you? In changing line 3, the line says, we are limping along. Oh, and on the verge of giving up. Okay, I just want to give up on this issue. And we mustn't give up. But what we must do, what the line is asking us to do, I mean, the I Ching is not telling you to do anything. Okay, you have to take responsibility what you must do. Okay, but what the recommendation is here is that you resist once again that urge to push forward. All right, because waiting out action on this thing, okay, all right, it reverses completely given time. And then we rejoice in what transpires. Okay, so let's just put these 2 lines together because they seem to be saying exactly the same thing. One is saying, new line, 1 at the beginning, okay, we feel cut off and frustrated. Resist the urge to push forward, okay, wait, because new thoughts need to come. And the new thoughts help us move forward in the right way. In line 3, all right, we are limping along and we need to resist the urge of pushing forward. Same idea. Here, what it's saying is that it will reverse. Okay, so just hang 10, be patient, just wait. Because the situation that is creating the frustration will reverse. And in the reversal, it brings an opportunity to rejoice and celebrate. Okay, isn't that worth it? Okay, a little bit of patience, a little bit of personal discipline of not pushing forward, even though all the signals are saying just there's an obstruction here that's trying to protect you. Okay, ding, 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 okay. And how often we've been in situations where we're like, no, it's going to keep moving forward. Stop, are you crazy? Okay, and then we look back and we go, oh, yeah, maybe we should have listened to that. Or we do listen to it and we realize actually what we needed to do is just wait because the right process kicks in at the right time. Trust this. Okay. Now, where do these 2 changing lines lead to? How does this situation transform from obstruction to something else? Because we now have changing lines. It's not a locked hexagram 39. Okay. It transforms to, hexagram 3, difficulty at the beginning. Okay, hexagram 3 comes after hexagram 1 and 2, which are the seeding and birth of new cycles. And hexagram 3 is almost like now things start to hatch, now things start to sprout, and boy, does that bring us a whole lot of intense learning because suddenly there's an upswell in manifestation, there's an upswell in activity, there's an upswell in a reaction to the creative process where things are just popping up all over the place. I've used that example many times before with this hexagram of you raising chickens and you've got all your eggs in the incubator and Murphy's Law, all these chicks hatch at the same time and suddenly you've got a whole lot of little baby chickens to take care of and there's a whole lot of intensity around I'm new at this chicken rearing situation and I now need to learn and look after and make sure that everything's the right temperature and they've got feed and the whole process. New, okay, it's difficulty at the beginning. It's what happens in that chaotic upswell of activity, of that creative process now taking root and now starting to generate, and perhaps we are not yet ready for it. So this week is about getting ready for it, learning while doing, all that famous saying, building the ship while sailing. With this hexagram, the way we work with it, okay, the strategy, because every hexagram has a strategy of how to master this energy, right? The way we master this wonderful popping out of all this new life, okay, is we don't panic. Hard to do, but we don't panic, and we get back to the foundation. So what tends to happen is when we have this kind of surge of creative manifestation, and we're still in the learning phase, there's still things that we need to learn how to do. What we can get into is running after all the things that need to get done, right? And running after all the nice to haves potentially, but actually the foundation is what is really important. And so the foundation anchors you to what it is that you're trying to build. Okay, so this week, when you feel that, okay, there's chickens, okay, the first thing you do is you are building the structure, okay, which is going to stabilize this acceleration in flow, acceleration in new learning, acceleration in doing, and look for what is that structure that's going to stabilize this. And then put your attention in building that structure to help you move forward. I have within my team, I have a daily check-in where everyone checks in via WhatsApp, and there's a structure and there's metrics, and everyone has to kind of bring those into the team every day. And when there's a whole lot of chaos and a whole lot of new projects and clients and things that are flying in, what you can forget is you can forget that check-in process, because, well, I've got all these things to do now, I've got all these things, how relevant is it? Because no one's really listening to me, everyone's running around. And maintaining that little kind of ritual as a team of that check-in, right, where the little ants touch feelers and we share information. This is where I'm at. This is what happened yesterday. This is what my challenge is for the next day. In having this process, it's a structure that in the midst of chaos just hooks everyone together in a way that's just enough to create a bond, right, in the midst of chaos. And that's what I see. That's the picture I see of this foundation of where all the chickens, popping out. You could run after each individual chicken, but actually what is that structure? Maybe that's the work allocation system, or that's the to-do list, or that's the priority schedule. What is that thing that is the structure that if we rally around that as our foundation, that allows us to get into a flow of learning what we're doing, right, while we're doing it, but also having a semblance of order in how we are doing it. You're going to have to work through what on earth that means for you in your own life, whether it's a personal issue, this is a work issue, a team issue. What is that foundation, right? That foundation slab that you can cast, that you can work on. Get that in place first, right? Then start putting other layers onto that. But get yourself and your team or your family orientated around what is going on with this foundation. Start there and build from there. Okay. So a very interesting week. I'm sorry about all the challenging words, okay? Obstruction and difficulty at the beginning. But these things are helping us to shift perspective, okay? And deal with a new level of understanding. We have an obstruction. Yes, we have ways of thinking about it. This is all about waiting this week. So just understand that you might have things not drop or not flow the way that you had planned, okay? And just being okay with that means that there's a door that opens to thinking and working in a new way. So look for other opportunities. When there's a stoppage in one area, there's an opportunity somewhere else, okay? Something else that's needing our attention, perhaps, that is a higher priority. We just could not see it at the time. Trust the process. Work with all these chickens that are suddenly popping out all over the place by putting in place your foundation. The number one thing that's going to create flow and order in what you're doing and stabilize it. Stabilize word is very, very important because there's a lot of intensity of learning. There's a lot of doing this week, and the stability is really important. That anchor that provides that foundation is really important. So good luck with the week. if this was meaningful to you as always. Thumbs up, like would be really great. If you're new on the channel or on the podcast, hit the subscribe and the little bell, and of course the follow button on the podcast. And I look forward to seeing you soon for our last weekly overview for June. So if you've not yet checked out the monthly overview, very interesting. Progress is on the cards, biting through the obstacles. We've got obstacles here, biting through obstacles. Isn't that interesting? Do go and watch that if you have not yet done so. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.